Hello everyone and welcome back to another exciting edition of Boy Curious. I'm Matt and this is the series in which I look at the oddities, bootlegs and unlicensed carts of the Game Boy world. And this week is no exception. I found a right corker for you all to enjoy. This one's Donkey Kong 5, The Journey Over Time and Space. The world's longest title. And I know some of you may be trying to adjust your browsers right now, because this can't be right. This is a game in colour on this week's Boy Curious. Yes it is. But in my defence, the cart the game came on was grey, and so I assumed it wasn't colour. Like a lot of bootlegs, they tend to say Game Boy Colour on the front. But once I played it, colour or not, I really needed to share this with you lovely people. So this is Donkey Kong 5. Important to note, not Donkey Kong Country 5, because that would kind of make sense, but it's just Donkey Kong 5, A Journey Through Time and Space, which, as I've previously mentioned, is the world's longest title and has absolutely nothing to do with the plot, because there's no time travel involved. This game kind of defies all meaning, really. It's essentially the Super Mario clone created by a company called Sintax, who are responsible for some of the worst of the Game Boy's bootlegs. At a glance, this game may actually seem pretty well made. I mean, the sprites look nice and the music's good. And that's because they're all stolen from other games. DK and Diddy are literally ripped from Rare's Donkey Kong Land. Donkey Kong on the title screen is, of course, from Nintendo's Donkey Kong 94, while the music is mostly from Pokemon Pinball. Not to mention that holding down B for some reason will make DK do a Tasmanian Devil-style spin, which isn't actually an attack, but just a waste of fucking time. So while there are playthroughs of this game in English on YouTube, I have a rarer German copy, or so I'm informed, because, well, it's all I could get my hands on. Fortunately, I have a few German-speaking colleagues who are willing to translate this apparently awful German story at the start for me. So, there's a fairy called Sodoma. She's beautiful and essentially she controls all of the plants and fertility in the world, and as such she's good friends with Donkey King. Yep, they even screw up DK's name in the intro sequence. But she's been kidnapped by a guy called Lombardo, who, as we will see later, is apparently Count Dracula, because he doesn't want things to grow. As a result of this, the plants die and DK can't find bananas in the world. As a result of this, Donkey Kong becomes so famished he slims down to Diddy Kong, and now must go save Sodoma to restore the balance. Oh goody. So, much like Mario, you stomp on enemies' heads, you collect power-ups that let you turn into Super Donkey Kong, which isn't bananas, as you might have guessed, which would have been the obvious choice, but meat. I'm not even going to ask. There's also a vial that turns Donkey Kong blue, and apparently Super Saiyan, which is the equivalent of a fire flower. So you battle your way through 5 worlds on 4 stages, and if you look at the backgrounds, they're not half bad. All of which I would imagine is because they're stolen from better games. If anyone knows, especially what this city level's from, please let me know in the comments below, because it looks fantastic. The game feels slow and incredibly sluggish, and at some points there's crazy slowdown, as this game chugs along trying to render the really complex mix of detailed visual styles that were never meant to be on the same cart together, let alone running on an 8-bit handheld. At the end of each world there's a boss fight with Count Dracula himself, which is much like Bowser's castle in Super Mario. You jump on the objects behind him to drop a bridge. You go in, try and rescue Sodoma, and lo and behold, your banana-growing princess is in another castle. Fortunately, you don't have to play this entire thing to the end, as the old run across the top of the screen to the warp zone trick from Mario is also intact here. And I'd like to thank Sintax for including this, because it probably prevented a lot of people hurting themselves and others by being in the game. The level design also really suffers from the fact that not all of the level can fit on the screen at once, which more than once will make you have to lean down and kind of adjust the screen by pressing the directional buttons, which is a bit of a pain in the ass. Though, to the game's credit, it does feature a save system, which means you can press start and save the game anytime and resume it later. Not that you'd want to. So, all in all, Donkey Kong 5 is a pretty crappy game with a boring ending. You save the fairy, she grows bananas again, the end. If you can pick it up cheap, it's worth a laugh, but I really wouldn't go out of my way to get this one. Like I said, it's stolen aspects from a lot of other games, which you would probably enjoy more if you spend your money on those. But yeah, if you want to play the ROM, go ahead. I'm not going to stop you. It's not terrible. It's just not very good either. It kind of lies in meh land in between. And that's it for this week's Boy Curious, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any copies of DK5, A Journey Through Whatever the hell it is, then please let me know in the comments below, and you can tell me what you thought of it. If you've played it on ROM, also do that. You can also tell me on Twitter at Gameboy, and you can check out the podcast I do every Sunday called Tom and Matt Attack, which is available on iTunes and Stitcher. Also drop me a line there at TMAcast. You can find the links to those in the description below. Until next time, guys, game on.